Hi guys, so we're back, and in the first part we have created our data. So we just set it up. We've not created it yet. Now the next part is we're trying to be realistic with this data. So we're going to be incorporating missing values, right? So how do we do this? Now to incorporate missing values, we are going to create a function, right? So here we are going to introduce the missing value scenario, right? So that so we call it the missing value scenario, right? So that our data would have missing values, just like our data was realistic to ensure that folks who are 18 don't get too much years of experience in the job. So we're going to incorporate this. Now, how do we do that? So first thing is we're going to define a function, right? And so we'll call this introduce underscore missing values. Now, so in it, we are going to have the columns, right? So we're just going to call this data underscore columns. That's going to be the first parameter in it. Then we're going to have missing underscore percentage, which is going to be the percentage of missing values. So we're going to have by default, we're going to set a default to it. Now, if you want to understand what setting default parameters, please look up Introduction to Python. You're going to find creating Python functions. So we have a bit on that. So I'll call this 0.1. So I'll put this value there. So in a situation where we do not set it, this is going to be the default. Now we're going to I'll call this n underscore missing. Now n underscore missing is going to be the number of records times the missing percentage, and that's just what's going to bring it out. So again, so we have this, we say num underscore records, we already have that, and we're going to multiply it by missing percentage, right? And so that we're going to have that. Also, we're going to introduce something here. So we want to make this an integer. So we just basically set this up. So we're going to have this as an integer, right? Next, we are going to have missing. We're going to create something called missing indices. Right now, in missing indices, we are going to, because we also want that, we want situations where we have missing values and stuff. We're going to choose for the data points that have categorical variables, right? So we're going to also look out for that. So we're going to create that typically. That's what we're going to do. So how do we do this? So I call this np the random dot choice, and we're going to have the num records, which is definitely our 100,000 records. We're going to have n underscore missing values, which is the percentage of the missing values we have, and then we're going to have replace, and inside we're going to have false, right? Then we are going to have the data columns, and the data columns where we we're going to have missing values. We're going to have np.nan, so which is typically like not a number but a missing value, right? And so Pandas sees it as missing values. So we're going to have this data underscore column, and we're going to have a square bracket inside. We're going to have here, we're going to have our missing indices, and whatever the missing indices will be equals to np.nan. Then we will return data column. So that's what we're going to have. That's what we're going to be returning. And hopefully this works. Right, great. Next, we are going to be applying the missing values. So here we're going to call this applying the missing values. All right, so we're going to be applying the missing values to specific columns. So this is really interesting, right? So one of the first we're going to start off with salary. So we could have that, and of course our function, which is introduce, right? We're going to introduce. So we're going to say, look, salary. We're going to have salary, and of course it's going to have a missing percentage, and we're going to be sure to put it at 0.1. So again, typically if I didn't add that, I'll definitely have the 0.1, but I had to add it because I'm going to do something else. Then I'm going to look at educational status. And then we're going to introduce, and you know, for the educational status, I guess we're going to put in like maybe non-values, and to create that non-values, you can see that we had a point where we had to use np.random.choice. Yeah. So we have, yes, this values, and here we're going to have educational status, and we're also going to have our missing values percentage. So here for our missing values percentage, we'll be working with maybe something a lot smaller, maybe let's say 0.05. Because typically, should I use that? So typically that's what I might just do that, right? Okay, that's what I want to do. So 0.05, and we will close this. Then the next we're going to do is that all? Should we add any other thing? Let me look back up. What should I? Okay, let me look at weight. Right, then I look at weight, and in weight we're going to also introduce. We're going to introduce, and we're going to say here we're putting weight, and we're going to have missing percentage, and here we're just going to do something like maybe 7%. We have like a bit of 5%. Here we have like 10%. So we have like, let's just make this 7%. Right, so let's run this. Uh-oh, something is wrong. What did we miss? Cannot float nonce to integers. Where's that? Okay, so we have a value error. Cannot convert float nonce to integers. Why are we having that error? Cannot convert float nonce to integers. But I thought we introduced this over here. So we have our integer here, and we have this over here. So it cannot convert float nonce to integers. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to sort this. So now we have an error, and I'm trying to make sense of this error. So it says cannot convert float nonce to integer. What does that mean? Okay, hold on a second. So what I could do is, I think some of the stuff we did here, like salary and education there, that typically they may have salaries, may have integers, and weights, or may also have integers. So okay, let's see. So to ensure like arrays like salary and weights are float types, so we want them to accept it, maybe we just convert them. So here so let's ensure salary and weight are float types. So we have to solve this. So so I'm going to say salary, and in here I'm going to say salary dot as type, and then we're going to say this should be float, right? And then we're going to go look at weight, and hopefully this works. And then we have weight dot as type, and then we have this as float. Okay, so let's save this and let's come here. Do we have, oh, we have solved the problem, right? Just let me see, just in case we're sure, right? And it's called for sanity check. So we can say salary. We have salary, and then we could put a square bracket here because we just want to look at this, maybe the first 5. And yeah, so well, we can have nans and all that. So we can also check for educational status, and we can also see if that works. Yes. Of course, it did not show some of it, but it will definitely have that. And so yeah, so that's typically us. So we have, first of what we've done here is we've incorporated missing values, right? So in this part, we incorporated missing values. And so the next thing we're going to do is we are typically now going to create our data points, right? And we have everything all set. So we're just going to create our data points. And so this is what I'm going to do. We already have all this here. I'm going to come over here, and then we're going to create our data point. I'm just going to paste this over here. So we have all our data points here, right? And so we run this. So we now have this. We have data, which we created this as a dictionary. So here, data is a dictionary. So data is a dictionary. And if you look closely, it's a dictionary, and every dictionary has key value pairs. So the values are all, all the column names we have. And now, just correct that. And now, so the next thing we're going to do is then we are now going to create, we'll call this our bio data. I like that name, bio data underscore real. And we're going to now use pd dot read CSV, and sorry, apologies for that, pd dot data frame, and then we're going to put data in here, and we'll run this. So here we have created our data frame. So this is what we have here. And so let's check this out. So we say bio data underscore real dot head. And so what do we have? Oh, you can now see we've got nans. We have nan values. You can see we have nan values. Which are the ones? We should have some in educational status, right? So let's also look at, so these are the first 5 rows. So we'll call this first 5 rows. Then over here, I can come at bio data dot tail, and this is going to be the last 5 row. I just put 10 in here so we can see the last 10. And so you can see, yes, educational status has nan. And just to make it real, right? Salary would also have some nan values. You can see that. So this is how we generate data that has some realness to it, right? You can see it has some realness to it. And that's why we came to the beginning here and said generating random data that is realistic and incorporates missing values. And going forward, we're going to be using this data to do some analysis, right? So it just makes it real, right? So please take your time and read it. And remember to like, subscribe, and share with your learning colleagues and folks who are starting data science from scratch.